What's up, magical family? It's Unique Divination, and you are watching Urban Mystic TV. This video is going to be about servitors. What is a servitor, and how do we create one? What do you do with it, right? So basically, a servitor is a thought form or an entity that you create with your own energy, right? And basically, I guess you're asking, like, why would I need to create, a thought form or, an entity? Well, you could use them for a lot of things. People use them for a lot of things: money, protection, help with organization, tasks. For instance, I have a servitor that helps find money for me. It attracts money, right? So how do we go about creating a servitor? All right, well, we'll get into that. So first off, you need to figure out what it is that you want to create a servitor for. We'll use protection in this video, right? You want to use a servitor to protect your house, right? And so basically, here's what you're going to need to create a servitor. You're going to, of course, we need to find out what it is it does. You're going to have to find a picture of it or draw some type of picture of it. A name, preferably make a sigil out of that name. I'll get into that in a little bit. And you're going to need a home for your servitor. We'll get into that in a second. And we're going to have to charge our servitor and feed it energy, right? Lastly, your servitor is going to need a kill switch. All right, so once we figured out what we want our servitor to do, which we just said we want it to be for protection, we're going to write out specifically what it needs to protect. Now, when writing out what you wanted to do, I like to list by number, 1, the name of the servitor and what it is doing. I like to write in present tense. I don't write it in past tense or it will do. The servitor does this. The servitor protects this. I use present tense, right? And so we'll say that the servitor, will protect the house from negative energy. The servitor protects my house from negative energy. Servitor blocks any negative energy from coming in the house, right? Next, you're gonna want to draw a picture of your servitor. So when you draw a picture of your servitor, you want it to have the attributes of what it is that it's being created to do. For instance, for protection, you might want to draw your servitor with like muscles, a big looking guy, anything that you attribute to protection, for something protecting you. You can make it a dog, as like a watchdog, something to that nature, right? And I recommend taking your time. Some people create servitors and they dispose of them a lot. I have a servitor that I've had for 2 years. I constantly reprogram it, but we'll get into that later. But the reason why I bring this up is because I've taken my time to draw the servitor, the attributes of my servitor, each part of the servitor, the legs, the arms, whatever eyes, whatever attributes I have to it, goes along with the programming that it has, right? So, like, for instance, my money attraction servitor has wings because it has to fly around and look for money. It has claws. It just has different things that I've incorporated in it to help with it to achieve its goal, right? So, we talked about programming it, drawing it. So make sure that you can take your time, you can think about it. As much time as you want. I like to kind of sit on things, especially when it comes to magic and mysticism, because the more energy and intent is behind it, the stronger it makes whatever it is you're doing. So in this case, the more that you sit and think about what you want the servitor to be, you know, and then when you draw on it, the more energy is getting put into your servitor, if that kind of makes sense. So after we've drawn our servitor, so we've got the program of the servitor, we have the instructions of what it needs to do in present tense, not in past tense, not in future tense. We write down in present tense what the servitor is programmed to do. You're going to need to implement a kill switch. For your servitor, because sometimes if you don't write your instructions specifically, that's why I'm always redoing mine, reprogramming. And sometimes the servitor can gain enough energy where it can detach from you and your programming and kind of live off on its own. Now, let me open up something for you guys here, different perspective. So we all love like the ghost TV shows and shit where they're like ghost hunters and stuff like that, right? So got me to thinking, once I started getting into servitors, I started reading up on it. I came across something, a video or a forum or something online where somebody worked on a ghost hunter show, and basically they said that they created servitors for spirits. So, you know, people are thinking that they're actually seeing spirits, and what it is somebody created a servitor or servitors for the show, right? So just think about that. And when you lose power or lose control of these servitors, they get let loose, and, you know, they can grow on their own. So some people might mistake servitors for like ghosts or things of that nature, right? So anyway, we need to implement a kill switch. You need to implement something, and I would write this in with the programming, you know, in order to, you know, kill off the servitor or end it, you know, right? Now if you've got it on a paper, you can do like, you know, if I set the paper on fire, if the paper's consumed, there's no more servitor. Or, you know, pour water on it, tear it up, something. But you need some type of kill switch mechanism in case it becomes out of control and you notice that it's not working for you anymore. You need to get, so it needs to have a built-in kill switch, right? All right, so we've talked about programming it, we've talked about drawing it, and then we've talked about the kill switch. The name. You can make up any name for your servitor. I would not name it something that is familiar to you. I just lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Nothing familiar. Make it up. My servitor's name is an acronym of what he does. So it's an acronym of what he does, right? I can't tell you the name because then I won't have control over it. And never tell anybody the name of your servitor. You can show people, because when visualization, that feeds energy into the servitor, but don't ever tell anybody the name of your servitor, period, right? So my servitor is, the name of my servitor is an acronym of the functions that it does. And once I created my name, I created a sigil of my servitor's name. So not only does my servitor have programming, it has a picture, it has a name, and it has a sigil of a name. If you don't know what a sigil is, I'll get into that in a whole nother video. All right. But I recommend making a sigil of his name. And so if anybody's familiar with my work, you've been to my website, anything attached to my money attraction oil, or that sigil, that's my money servitor's name. So anybody who lays eyes upon my money attraction sigil is actually feeding my servitor energy, right? So just think about that. You don't have to make the name a sigil, but if you are kind of experienced in magical practices and mysticism and things of that nature, anything you do should have different levels of energy and just magic on it, right? So double intent, double energy when you have a sigil attached to your servitor. So we talked about the name. Nobody knows the name. The programming, kill switch, picture. Your servitor is going to need a home. I have my servitor here in this box, but my servitor is actually in this beautiful tiger's eye necklace piece that I have. This is his home. So I programmed the sigil to live in this home, to live in this as his home in here. I've got it. I don't want to show you guys my servitor because I can't. It's got the name and stuff on it. I don't know how much. Yeah. You can kind of see like the shadow of it. I don't want to show it all the way. But this is its home. This is my servitor's home. So it's programmed to come here and have somewhere to go. When I first started doing my servitors, I did not have a home for it. It was just roaming free. I didn't even realize that it needed a home. The things that I was studying, that I was looking up, really didn't tell me about it needing to have a home. Oh, here's the sigil on the box that I put. It's kind of messed up looking, but that's my money attraction sigil. So I placed that. That's my servitor's name in sigil form. This is his name in sigil form. But yeah, nobody really told me that it needed to have a home. So I had a servitor and, you know, I really didn't have a home for it. Can you have a servitor and not have a home for it? I did for over a year. All right, so that's something new that I just implemented. And I said I have to make sure I put this in this video. Because not everybody, or not all of, not, you know, unless you've got like exclusive content or just find somebody on YouTube that has quite some knowledge on servitors, that's going to be left out. So try to find something to put it in. It could be a piece of jewelry. It can be a necklace. It could be anything. I chose this. I make wire wrap jewelry, so I just chose to put it in here. And if you see, I've actually engraved the sigil on it. And the reason why I chose this stone, this is a tiger's eye. The reason why I chose tiger's eye is because tiger's eye attracts money. So everything attributed or associated with my servitor is associated with money attraction, right? So this is my home for my dear friend. All right, now you've got a name, you've got programming, you've got programming, you've got a kill switch, you've got a drawing of your servitor. You need to charge it with energy and intent. You know, everything that we do, everything that we create has a certain amount of energy behind it. And the more energy you put into something, the better off it is, the easier it is to manifest. So there are a number of ways to program your servitor. If you have an altar, you can put your servitor on your altar and just leave it there and let your altar kind of program it. Crystals, you can set it on crystals, to set crystals on it to help charge it. Bodily fluids, I know this sounds gross, but if you're into magic or anything, you know that biological fluids have a lot of energy. It could be your fluids from orgasm, male fluids. It could be your blood, stuff like that. So you could put it on the paper to charge it, give it that energy. Charge it underneath the sun. You could charge it underneath the moon. You could charge it with ritual, with dance, magic, and make sure that while you're doing these dances and stuff, your intent and thought is going into the servitor. What other ways can you charge it? So those are a few ways that you could charge the servitor. How long should it take to charge a servitor? That's up to you. When I first created my servitor, I left it on my altar for about a week. I just left it there to manifest, and the instructions and everything that I created to kind of let the energy build up. All right, so name. We've got the name. We've got the programming, the kill switch, drawing your servitor. Associated with the name, you can create a sigil for it. Charging our servitor. We've got a home for it. Lastly, you want to activate the servitor, and you activate it by saying its name and saying, I activate you, and then you go command it to do what it is that you want it to do. Now, when speaking to your servitor, I recommend that you speak firmly and just tell it is what you want it to do. All right? Now, if you are creating a servitor, I am going to assume that you have a book of shadows or a grimoire or some type of journal. A book of shadows or a grimoire is just your magical book with all of your spells, anything to do with magic, you're putting it in here and you're putting the results. Whenever you create a servitor, I feel like you need to monitor what it is the servitor is doing on a weekly basis, a day-to-day basis, but you have to observe, sit back and observe. Number one, you have to observe because you may have to tweak it. It's may doing the opposite of what you asked it to do because of how you worded it. Everything is trial and error, especially when you're starting out. So definitely observe, write down what you see or what's happening, what's taking place since you created the servitor. I've had to reprogram. I've had mine for, it'll be almost 2 years, and I reprogram it every few months. All right, which I will be working on reprogramming my servitor now, because I always look back at my instructions and I see where I can make it better. If you don't see any growth in your magic or feel like you gotta go back and tweak things, then you're not really growing. Some people don't let servitors live for longer than 2 weeks. I just watched a video and this practitioner said to kill him after 2 weeks. If you're just starting out, I would recommend not to have your servitor live for very long. I would recommend writing in the programming that it, you can write in the programming that it's alive for this amount of time, or just go ahead and kill it off with the kill switch after 2 weeks. I would not recommend working with the servitor longer than that as a beginner, right? And definitely I don't recommend it if you're not writing down or trying to track any results of what you're doing, right? So definitely write down results from what you're doing. Always tweak things. Don't go servitor crazy. We could make servitors for any and everything. The more you make, you're going to have to make sure that you're monitoring what it is that they're doing. Because like I said earlier in the video, they can kind of break away and have their own energy. And then at that point, you're going to have to let it go or kill it off. So don't bite off more than you can chew. I implore you to do more research on this subject since I brought it up. A lot of people that are watching this video may not even know what a servitor is. So this will be your first time even, dealing with or hearing something to that nature. There is a bigger form of a servitor, which is an egregore. I'm not going to get into that. I just want to say that corporations and social media are like a form of egregores. It's a thought form or an entity that kind of is living off on its own, doing its own thing. Not really doing its own thing, but has a sort of a purpose. An idea, a movement. These things can be looked at like servitors, but when they're on a bigger scale, they're called an egregore, right? And egregores kind of move on their own, more so than a servitor does. It's more controlled. So, if you sat through this video, this stuff may seem crazy to you, but I need for you guys to realize and understand that corporations in our society, our government, they use all of these things as a form of control and power over us. So people that are not familiar with magic are like, what are these people doing? This is evil. Not necessarily. No, it's not evil. I'm not even going to say necessarily. It's just not evil, right? So do your research. I hope you benefited from this video. If you have any questions, please comment below so I can clarify anything. Let me know what you thought about the video. If you have a servitor, comment below, what you use it for. What have been the results? How's it going with your servitor, okay? Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like the video. And if you're watching this and you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Please subscribe to my video, okay? All right, I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.